Hey everyone, just time for that 4-hour update since close. So right on close, the sell pressure of course kicked in and sold Sol and BTC down a little bit, which has kind of parked it under a bit of resistance. Then they did a pump straight up, so all that kind of behavior looks pretty trappy, really. To start the day underneath resistance levels and then push the price up into them usually only results in them rolling over and coming back down. If not soon, then later in the week after it liquidates enough of the topside shorts. So what that sort of looks like is things like the balance between Sol and BTC went into a position where it can break, but doesn't mean it has broken. So just because it's on the side of there doesn't mean it can't come down. But it does mean that there will be some kind of bounce. And then when you start looking through a couple of the other time frames, we've created range trend support, but again, we've got to come down if we want to use that. So you might see that pull back and then that bounce off that. And again, we've created range trend, or we've created trend support, so down could go up. It's not till you get to the sort of the really high time frame that you see what they've actually done, which is they've pulled the price and made sure it closes underneath that 3-week range trend. So we then had our little pump at the beginning of the day, which sort of started in these two candles, and it went immediately up and just hit the resistance and then started to pull back. So we're in a bit of a pullback off that trend now. That's going to create some weakness for Sol. And we've got the support of this one down here when it gets there, and that's on an even higher time frame again. That's the 6-week close from today. So yeah, it looks like they're playing the usual games. Safety assets ended up closing above but dipping below. So that gives them the ability to go down if they want to, but then come back up again and use that as support. So all this stuff basically just points to trap. So we've still got these targets in play. Maybe we get to the 160s, 174.5 sort of area, maybe up there, but it's pretty unlikely. And I think probably one of the more important ones we noticed would be something like this. So this is a 43-day time frame on BTC, and it's got a hold level down here at about 102,000. There's not really much else that would support the price in there. I mean, even the trend is quite far away. They pulled it back down underneath the resistance. So if they go up and hit this at 117, you could definitely be looking at a pullback deeper than what we previously thought. So just bear that in mind. If you're looking for entries at 110, you might find that it actually comes all the way down to sort of like 102. And they did create the hold level on the weekly, so that can create a rejection which has got confluence with that 43-day time frame. Everything basically has confluence at the moment. And if we look at, I'll just find it. Well, some of the smaller stuff. So we've gone up. We've hit the break level on the 1 hour. We've returned and created a 1 hour trend. We haven't broken it. We're just kind of bouncing around, but we're probably going to test these 1 hour levels down here that have now been hard closed. So it's be totally realistic to at least come back to 162, even if there's going to be a bullish trap or a bounce. Coming back to 162 would make a lot of sense before you see any further bounce. We haven't actually hit the daily trend yet, which is up there at all the way, what was it, 164-ish now. This is effectively the move that shut it down. So we hit and closed into the 1 hour hold. That created the range trend, first rejection of the range trend. That's come back down and it's tested this first 1 hour level here. But we do have lower untested 1 hour levels. So it's created a hold to push the price down back to the trend, and then take it down and retest these levels. So it's doing what it should be doing. I mentioned this in a tweet, but I don't know if I talked about this in the start first video, but we've relocated this 1 month trend up to here. We haven't rejected off it, so if we hit it, we'll probably reject down. It's there. It's kind of, I guess it's going to be that final boss. We've got to get over that thing if we actually want to go any higher, but it'll probably reject. And totals. This is the one that I'm thinking would probably have a bit of confluence with a pump up again to that trend or that trend and then back down again, maybe to test this lower level if we do get that drop off the 43-day move on BTC. So that would be about 363 there. And 3-day move looks like it's still going. So pretty much everything is happening as expected. The only things I'd probably like to add is that there is some trends sitting up there in the 180s that could potentially send Sol back to the those low 140s. And outside of that, everything else is pretty much like you've got stuff in 175 area that could send it back to 153. So everything is more or less ticking along. Just watching to see whether this the 4-hour close got sold down to be underneath trend, which is in here somewhere. That's that 43-day rejection that could send it back to the 143 area. So that's actually sitting at about, that trend is sitting at about 183 now, 182, 183. So that's, be very careful when you see that hit that. If that starts to reject, that could be the start of quite a major pullback. And this was the 4-hour support we were watching, so they sold it down just before the end of the day. So we can still recover from that and move up. It can also hold this break level from the range, so it could technically hold that 162 area and move back up. It can still get back over that trend. And I think the 8-hour is what we were. Too many tabs. And the 8-hour, if the 8-hour closes above its old level, so that's also about that 162 area. So if the 8-hour closes above the 162 area, it can push back up into that trend. So I still think we're probably going to see a bit more liquidity taken to the upside as long as this 162 area is not lost in the next 4 hours, 3 hours and 30 minutes. But based on how they've sold down certain key timeframes prior to close, I also think that they're only doing that because they want the candles to start from the wrong side of the trends, and that means that they can push up through them. But as we get close to the close of those timeframes, we're going to hit some resistance and go into a dump. It just looks like it's the final part of the weekend trap. So normally, whatever happens through the weekend, you'll get that continuation of it on Monday, and then you'll get the reversal on Tuesday, and the true trend starts to come out. And then you'll have some big climax to that on Thursday when there's typically financial news events and things come out on Thursday, or macro news, and that ends it. So, and then you move back into Friday and the weekend trap again. So we'll see how this goes, but at the moment it looks like as long as we hold 162, we should be able to see a bit higher. But just be ready to get out if this thing starts to reject badly, because it seems to be setting itself up that way. All good. Hopefully that helps. And yeah, like, subscribe, and all that YouTuber stuff.